Good evening. The world has a new footballing champion. Montreal has a new defender, and they've also re signed a goalkeeper. All that and more on episode 113 of The Ball is Round. And once again, I am here with my good friend Hadi Raphael after a very exciting day in the world of football. How are you hanging in there?
Hey, I'm fine. I'm fine. Listen, what a day! What a day of football! It was
Mhm.
amazing. I did a bit of education to my son, so I just put him in front of the TV and I was like, "Watch!" and it was great. It was great. What a game of football today! What a World Cup final! I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about it,
Oh, yeah.
and of course, a lot more on, about CF Montreal or GR team. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
gonna be fun.
No, agree. And I think all of us, both participating and listening to your podcast, strongly encourage your education of your son.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everybody was happy. I shared the tweet and I'm like, I've seen so many good comments and I'm like, okay, I feel less like a bad dad putting my son in front of a TV, but whatever.
TV with a good cause.
Exactly,
That
exactly.
being said, I think we do have a guest joining us
Yes,
this evening,
yes.
and he is already here. And welcome, Bart from Soccer for Us podcast. You are a repeat guest. So thrilled to see you. Welcome.
Glad to be back. Thanks for having me. Obviously, a just fantastic display of our beautiful sport today. It was exciting. It was fun. It was just a dream final, I think, for everyone who was watching, unless you're, cheering for France. But I think just overall, it was a fantastic display for our sport.
Yeah, I was actually at like kind of the main bar for kind of France supporters in Montreal today. It's right across the street from my friend's place, and she came with me. So we were lined up outside there at 7 o'clock this morning, and
You're crazy,
honestly,
man. You're
oh,
crazy.
I know, I was up. I was up at 6 o'clock this morning.
That
First time
was
I've
me
been
as
up.
well.
Yes, Bart, I love it. Thank you so much for suffering along with
Yes.
me. No, it was awesome. But obviously, we have brought you here with an agenda, not just to talk about World Cup. Um, we had a really interesting announcement earlier this week from CF Montreal, being that CF Montreal has acquired the defender George Campbell for a total of $600,000 of GAM over the next 2 seasons. And as a friend of the podcast, we wanted to bring you back and learn all about Montreal's new player.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're Montreal, you should be excited to have a young defender who has a lot of upside.
Okay,
Hmm.
interesting, interesting.
Interesting.
I like the way of introducing the player. I love it. I love it. Perfect. So let's dive right in
Hmm.
and just describe us a bit George Campbell's style of play. His strongest asset, his biggest weakness, just a bit on the player itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing to remember about George Campbell is that he isn't even 22 yet. So all of these things are said with the caveat that he's young, he's still learning, he's still growing. But he's a big boy. He's 6'2". He brings a good physical presence on the field. He does need to learn how to use that a little bit better in the air. But I've always joked that if George Campbell, and he loves to do this, were running at me with the ball, if he were dribbling at me, I would just get out of the way because that would be very scary. But he does love to kind of dribble from the back line. That's kind of a feature of Atlanta United's system. They love a center back who can progress the ball up the field. And he's actually pretty good at that. I will say that, again, he's young, so he hasn't quite learned the best moments to get the ball off his foot or find that pass. But overall, it's positive that a guy is so comfortable on the ball. He's pretty smart. I think he's a really well-grounded kid. He seems to be very humble, a guy who doesn't get too big for himself. He's very willing to learn. And I think that he has, again, a lot of room to grow, but in a good way. He's already very good, and there's more that could possibly come from him.
Excellent. So, obviously, we've done a little research since he's joined, and in looking at his playing history, he's actually played at both left and right central defense for Atlanta. Um, is there a position, of those two, or something else potentially, where you believe that he is a more effective player?
Yeah, I think right center back would probably be best for him. You've noticed that he's played on both sides. That's because
Mhm.
he, for the most part, for Atlanta United, has kind of been a guy who fills a hole. He didn't fully like capture a starting role. He did start a lot of games in the past season, but that was kind of to fill in for one of the either Alan Franco or Miles Robinson. Obviously,
Mhm.
Miles Robinson got hurt in 2022, and so he filled in a lot for Miles. So I think right center back would be his best. He is right-footed, so there's that reason
Yeah,
for sure. But it hasn't really been like he's locked in either position, which again I think is a positive.
fair enough.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, it's really, really positive. I think. Listen, being part of the media myself, communication wise,
Mhm.
with the media, how is he? What kind of personality does he have? Is he easy to ask questions to, or is a bit shy and doesn't really give good answers? Like, tell me about it,
Yeah.
about his communication skills.
Yeah, I mean, I think he hasn't really had a whole lot of time to face the media because he's obviously so young. Doesn't really feature a whole lot as a starter, but I think like I said, he's very humble. He seems to be a kid who has a good family around him, who has kind of told him, you know, he is a very good player, but that doesn't mean that he is, he shouldn't be too cocky, and he really does seem to have learned also playing for the Atlanta United twos team kind of how to be a leader quietly on the field, which is really cool. Um, I think that he overall with the fans, we love him. He's a homegrown, obviously. So, from our standpoint, we like him, and he does, um, especially on social media, he does love to share successes of everyone who's involved, which is
Yeah.
really cool. It's not about him necessarily. He's more than happy to share successes for everyone involved with Atlanta United, which is really cool.
That's
Perfect.
wonderful. Yeah. And especially like Montreal is so big on the collective, especially as
Yeah.
we saw last season. So hopefully he fits right in with that mentality. That being said, though, you did mention Miles Robinson, and we have heard talks that a lot of folks compare George Campbell to Miles Robinson in his first season. Do you think that's true?
I don't think it's a fair comparison because I think, and this is what a lot of people who have been around the club have said, both quietly but also out loud, is that George is actually probably more advanced than Miles was in his early seasons. I mentioned George is pretty good on the ball. Miles has had to grow and develop that skill. He hasn't always been great with the ball at his feet. George kind of has that already. He has a history from the academy level playing defensive midfielder, so he is a little bit more used to having that
Oh,
ball at his feet. He's not played that really professionally, but it's something in his background that has helped him. Um, he really does mirror Miles Robinson in the sense that I think as fans, we were kind of expecting him to replace Miles when if you'll go back with me toward the 2021 summer of 2021, the US had just won the Gold Cup, which I know for Canadian
Mhm.
men's soccer fans, that's an actual
It's
trophy
okay.
you win.
Mhm.
I know that y'all like to make up trophies, but we actually win them down here in the States. And he
Damn. Okay, no,
oh.
but
Okay, you know what?
we've made it
Bye
when
bye.
they can trash talk us.
Bye
We're
bye.
finally like relevant.
Exactly. No, but seriously, Miles at the summer of 2021 and leading into the World Cup qualifying, we kind of had a lot of big hopes for this kid. We were really expecting him
Yeah.
to be a starter at the 2022 World Cup for the US, and obviously he tears his Achilles early in 2022, and that dream unfortunately goes bye-bye. So we were expecting him to be sold after the World Cup and then George to step right in. Obviously, plans changed a little bit, unfortunately, but I think it's not unfair to compare him to Miles in terms of what we expected him to be, which is kind of that stalwart center back. But I don't think they're the same player. I think George has a lot of different qualities than Miles, but they do have some similarities. They're both kind of quiet leaders. They're both very confident, but not cocky. They're both very, I think, very just humble and grounded people. I think that's the best way I could describe George. Is very humble and grounded.
Excellent. I like those words.
Interesting. Yeah, it's funny because if he turns out like close to Myers Robinson potential, I'll be super happy. So that's great. Now, under coach Wilfried Nancy, CF Montreal played exclusively in the back three. I don't recall Atlanta use that formation as often. I think last time I saw Atlanta use that formation was with Gabby Heinze. But and we don't know Montreal if they're still going to use that formation too, because we don't know who the coach is going to be.
Thierry Henry is coming back. That's
not gonna happen. No, he will not come back, so.
Yeah, we've already had that one quashed real quick. Sorry.
Probably for the best, honestly.
Yeah, and honestly,
I kind of agree.
Comebacks. I don't like comebacks. So yeah.
No, but I just agree. Period.
Exactly. So, could you comment on what formation you've seen Campbell play in most often?
Yeah, so Atlanta United under Gonzalo Pineda has traditionally used a 4-back system. In 2021, when Pineda took over, we did play a little bit of a 3-back system under him because it was, as you mentioned, that was something that Heinze used a lot of. So it was a natural, he didn't want to change too much. It was very natural to keep that. So George has played in that, but he's probably most comfortable in a 4-back system. But I think his athleticism is going to be able to translate to both the 4-back and a 3-back. I mean, I think he could be your right-sided center back. He has played a little bit of a right-sided defender at times, not truly a right back, but the guy that you throw on at the end of the match to try to seal up a win type of place. And he's been on that right side. So I think he could play a 3-back. He did obviously under Heinze. And I think it's still something that would suit his game very well because he is pretty athletic. And again, being good with the ball at his feet, he's able to kind of be a part of the offensive buildup that you would probably see from a 3-back system more than you would center backs in a 4-back system.
Fair enough. No, and I know obviously those of us who have quickly logged online and done our research, we noticed pretty quickly that George Campbell didn't feature much for Atlanta at all towards the end of the season. To be specific, he had 1 minute in 12 the last 12 matches of the season. In your opinion, is this more the result of other players who he was competing with for minutes coming into good form, or is there some concern about his performances?
There hasn't been concern about his performances expressed by anyone from the coaching staff. I think the best answer is that we brought in a guy named Juanjo Parada, who we brought in on loan to really be more of a Miles replacement than anything. He's a bit more of an experienced professional. So, I think it came down to the fact that Parada was playing well with the team. He took a very vocal and noticeable leadership role both on the field and in the locker room.
Right.
He obviously scores goals. He's I think the second center back in MLS history with an actual hat trick in a game. So all those things kind of combined to push George a little bit farther down the depth chart. Because he was at the start of the season, he was the 3rd choice center back out of the 4 that we had with Alex DeJean. And he played a lot. Obviously, even before Miles was hurt, he played a lot. But I think when Parada came in, he and Franco kind of solidified themselves as a very good center back pair. And sometimes that's just what happens, right? You almost want a good team back there in your center backs. And obviously they both speak Spanish, so that helped. There wasn't a whole lot of communication issues from that regard. I wouldn't be too concerned. I think it was just a matter of a guy came in and he was really good.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That happens to the best of players, right?
Exactly. Now, Montreal paid $600,000 of GAM over the next 2 seasons to sign Campbell, and with the possibility of an additional $300,000 GAM. How are you, the fans responding to that? Are you guys happy with the deal? Are you not really?
Oh my God, look at that face.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
I'll take that 600 in GAM, man. Like that plus, more incentives is great. I think we kind of feel like Montreal gave us a little too much money, but not because we don't think that George is good. It's just you kind of, as you alluded to, Eve, like he hasn't played a whole lot. He never really grasped a real starting role, and he's still a homegrown, so he's not that expensive to us anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a good sum of money to pay for a guy who hasn't really been a locked-in starter in the league. But that said, I do very much believe in his potential, and so the 300 in GAM for incentives makes us very excited because we feel he'll very easily hit that.
Excellent. Well, that thrills me if he's going to hit his incentive
Yeah,
targets.
right.
I'm
It'll be
down.
good for y'all.
Exactly. That would be excellent for Montreal. But let's look to the imminent future here. Atlanta's going to get $400,000 in GAM for next season, 2023. And that's a decently healthy injection into any club's budget. Any thoughts on how Atlanta might spend it, or potentially how you would like Atlanta to spend it?
Well, the obvious answer is that they'll probably use that on Juan Jose Parada's contract because he was on on loan.
Yeah.
Decided to keep him, so now obviously you have to actually pay him, and Garber bucks go a long way for that. I'm not quite sure how much a walking thirst trap is worth, but Juan Jose Parada, that man is beautiful. So we're happy to have that. But if I were to kind of wish for something, it's probably a Joseph Martinez replacement because there's obviously a lot of not so much rumors, but just reporting that he won't be a part of the team, at least after the season, if not in the season at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if 400 in GAM really gets you that, but it goes a long way at least to help cut down some of the signing fees and just general contract issues that you might have. I mean, I think the obvious answer is Parada, but man, it'll be tough because we're not quite sure what Joseph is doing, and that money could be spent on a Joseph replacement.
Yeah.
That makes us
Interesting.
sad, by the way.
But like 400K for replacement for Joseph Martinez.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're gonna line up about 15 to 20 millions to buy someone else. So
it'll help a little bit, right?
Yeah, we'll see. Now, also, Atlanta retained a percentage for a potential transfer to Europe. Has he already talked about his dreams of joining Europe, or is it known that he wants to play abroad or something, or is it just something that's new to you?
Yeah, so like I kind of mentioned with the miles comparisons, I think Atlanta, the club, really felt that George Campbell was going to be a guy who we could make a lot of money off of selling to Europe. Obviously, we just made a good chunk of change selling him to Montreal, and that's fantastic. But I think the club itself, that was their plans. I'm sure, obviously George wants to play in Europe. That's something that, every player wants to do that. But I think from the club standpoint, that was their plan all along. Obviously, like I said, the plan would have been to sell Miles after this World Cup, after a great performance for the U.S. men's national team, and then George would have played for a couple of years for us, and we sell him off. So yeah, I mean, he's not even 22. He has a lot of potential. It wouldn't surprise me if Montreal only has him for like 3 to 4 years.
Oh, that's 3 to 4 good years, and that's 3 to 4 years longer than we've had a few of our players who have come and gone really quickly. Yeah. So it still would be certainly interesting to see. Looking kind of at the bigger picture, if you will, George Campbell, he is a U.S. youth international. He has played at the U20 level with the national team. Mm-hmm. Currently, how far do you see him in the depth chart for the U.S. national team? Do you see any potential in the near-ish future for him to be called by Greg Berhalter?
Well,
or Greg Berhalter's replacement?
Well, yeah. I think the next, whoever is coaching the men's national team in the 2026 cycle will have a lot of center backs to choose from, and I don't think there's any one that is particularly good.
Do you have any dual nationals with Canada?
I don't know. I don't think we have any. You've stolen a couple of our
Asking for a
guys.
friend.
I don't think we have any center backs at that.
No, no worries. Yeah.
But I think the issue for George is that he is going to be in a crowded field of young center backs who haven't quite grown into their own in a career yet. Obviously, you saw for the U.S. we had Walker Zimmerman and Tim Ream at the World Cup. Obviously, Tim Ream is like 80 years old. He will not be playing in 2026. Walker also probably will age out. I mean, he's 29, so he'll be 33.
It's going to be like on the cusp. Yeah.
Yeah. So those two are probably gone. Another one, Aaron Long, who from New York Red Bulls, probably also will be not in that discussion. So you have those guys, but there's still so many young center backs. I think he should get looks. I'm very curious how now Montreal handles the U20 World Cup coming this May, because that I'm not sure what Atlanta was going to do, because he didn't get released a whole lot for those tournaments. But I'm very interested, because that could be a good way for Montreal to put him in front of a lot of eyes of European scouts. I mean, we were talking about him going to Europe. That's a great way to get him to be recognized by those scouts over there. So I'm interested to see how that goes. I personally think he's better than a lot of those. We've got the Gold Cup coming up. We've got Champions League, not Champions League,
or Nations League,
sorry.
Yeah.
Whatever that tournament that CONCACAF has made up. Yeah. I think George is better than, a lot of the guys who are currently at the U20 level, a lot of those guys in that mid where he is at like U20 to U23 level. Obviously, we have the Olympics next summer, which will be interesting.
Another moment, yeah.
Another chance to put him, in the eyes of everyone. So I think he's better than a lot of the guys we currently are putting out there. But I just don't think he has been able to fully show that, because here in Atlanta, he hasn't been full starter. And, there's a lot of guys like Chris Richards is a great example, who plays for Crystal Palace and has played for Hoffenheim. Well, people see that. We just haven't been able to see George show what he's capable of.
Yeah, I think talking about 33 being on the cusp and old is a bit.
I'm 33. I can attest to the fact that my knees hurt after my one game a week. So
it's a bit insulting for Thiago Silva. That's 38. Pepe, that's 39. Otamendi, that's 34. I can name quite a few players.
I don't think Walker Zimmerman is at that level. He is from.
Plus, they're not playing on artificial turf all the time.
Yeah.
Perfect, but. And just one last question, just like that. How does it feel to have an Atlanta United player win the World Cup? Begin with Thiago Almada today.
I know. Honestly, I feel sorry for all the other MLS fans, because we are going to be insufferable about this. We've already started it.
You're already insufferable,
I
guys.
know. We already
can't be more than that.
Add like a second star somehow to the
put a star above the crust for it. No, but honestly, I think it's great for the league in general. It's so cool to watch one of your own get to lift a trophy. I mean, obviously, I know he didn't really play a big role, but he was there. And for a kid who's 20 years old, getting to go to the World Cup already is fantastic. The fact that he's representing not just Atlanta, but MLS, that's really cool for the league. I think overall, I have to say MLS proved pretty good during this World Cup. That's a really good thing for the league, not just US or Canadian players, but on the whole, the league looked really well. We had a freaking ref as the fourth official, and we had one as the VAR yesterday. That's good, right? That's a good thing for the league. And so I think that's just one of those little things that people have kind of, obviously we're being a little bit insufferable for it, but people have been joking about it, or putting it down, saying it's not really that important. It is. Those are the little things that this league needs to continue to grow. And it's cool from our standpoint, but from a bigger picture, that's fantastic, right?
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's going to help MLS become more of a legitimate league, I think, in the eyes of a lot of outsiders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So by and large, I agree with you for sure. That being said, obviously, Bart, thank you for calling out as well the fact that we did have officials in the finals and semifinals and third place match as well, because I know that you are a ref of about 15 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I started when I was 16 years old. Been doing it ever since.
My gosh.
I won't let you do the math on that. So
No, good for you. Excellent. That's awesome. But anyway, thank you so much for stopping by. Before we let you go, where can our listeners find you, your content, all that good stuff?
So you can find me on Twitter at Bartimus Prime 19. I also have Soccer for Us Pod as a Twitter account to tweet about mostly
Yeah.
U.S. soccer things. My podcast is distributed through the Soccer Down Here network. That's the network that our good friend Jason Longshore, who is the color commentator for the Atlanta radio broadcast,
Mhm.
he runs that. So Soccer Down Here is where you can find all of the episodes that I put out.
Mhm.
Nice.
Excellent. And we'll be sure to tag you when we release. So
Awesome.
definitely, if any of our listeners want to find out a little bit more, they will have easy access to find you.
Well, I'm excited, and again, thank you all very much for having me on here. It's fun to talk soccer with people who love the sport, and again, this is a great day to talk about soccer because we had such a fantastic moment this morning.
Yeah,
Very
we
much
did. We
agree.
did. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot, Bart. Thanks for everything, man.
Thank you both.
Huge thank you. You're welcome back anytime. Take
Oh,
care.
thank you all.
Okay. Bye bye, man.
Bye bye. Hattie, I gotta say it again. We're
Yeah,
spoiled. We're so
we
spoiled with
are.
our guests. We are so
We are.
lucky. Oh my
We're
gosh.
really
It's
spoiled.
amazing.
Yeah,
Honest to
well, all our
goodness.
guests have been wonderful, and Bart is
Yeah.
is amazing. It's really nice to talk to him,
Yeah.
even if he took a job on Canada. Like
That's all good. That's
I'm
all
okay.
good. Like I said, to me that means we're worth taking a job at, which, let's face it, it's been what, 30 years that I felt Canada hasn't felt legitimate. So I'm there. I'm there.
Yeah, I just want to apologize to fans that are listening in. I don't know why my camera is just giving some weird flashes. I really don't know why. So
No,
sorry about that, but
no.
there's nothing I
I
can do.
think your house might be haunted. That's my guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But anyway, huge thanks to Bart for filling us
Yeah,
all in on Montreal's new signing. One thing I found really interesting before we move on to the other topics that we have to discuss this evening. He talked so much about how George Campbell is good with the ball at his feet,
yeah.
likes to dribble forward, maybe instantly think of Kamal Miller. But at the same time, he's
Or Joel
right.
Waterman.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is one of them going? Because we have heard rumors, we've seen rumors in passing. Nothing as intense as we saw, obviously, for Alistair Johnston or Ismail Kone, both of which materialized.
Yeah.
But Hattie, do you have any thoughts? Because it sounded like an exact duplicate.
You know what? I don't believe that we're going to see Waterman or Miller leave the club. Because Olivier Renard said that yes, he's okay, like giving chances to players, that have interest in Europe, but he also needs to think about his club. So he's not going to sell everyone at the same time. So I don't really think that we'll see them transferred. But I think that for me, George Campbell is just replacing Gabriel Corbo. It's as simple
Yeah.
as that. And I know, during the season, if we're playing with a three back, you're going to need a fourth center back that's a fourth and a fifth center backs that are able to play. And
Yeah.
right now, last year we had Corbo, that was that fourth center back that played, I think, more than 20 games, right? So Campbell will be able to fill that role pretty well. Between him and Torkelson, I think we have what we need as center backs as for our rotation for three backs. So unless we have a new coach that comes and wants to play with a four, with the back line of four, I don't think Miller or Waterman will leave. I don't know if you have any other ideas, but
I'd be surprised at this stage to see either leave. I think things have quieted down. And big thanks to Robbie. Thank you for the kind words. I honestly would be a little bit surprised to see either one of them leave right now. Obviously, things can change, but for me, I think a Gold Cup next year is going to be a really big moment for at least Kamal Miller, potentially Joel Waterman, depending on who all gets called up. But for me, I think that's the moment where if someone's going to go, that's where they're going to shine and really, really potentially seal their move.
yeah, I agree
Yeah.
too.
And
I
as well,
agree.
like obviously, that's a more popular time for clubs abroad to be signing players as well.
I just hope, if that's if that's the goal, I just hope we get an extension for Joel Waterman.
Yeah.
Because it's his last year of contract.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have an option for next year.
No,
So he needs a contract extension like as soon as possible. I would love,
agree.
him being 27. I would love to see him get a long
Like
term
a two
deal
or
of
three years. Yeah.
3 or 4 years
Oh,
even.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, three
Mm-hmm.
years with an extension. I think that would be
Mm-hmm.
great because that would cement him in Montreal and give us some sort of relief of what he's going to be the backbone of our defense for the
Mm-hmm.
3 years to come. And I think that's important in that kind of project where
Yeah.
we know that players are going to come and then leave a year later if they're good.
Mm-hmm.
At least you'll have some veterans that are staying within the project, a bit like Samuel Piet. You have a
Mm-hmm.
second one with Joel Waterman that could be the
Yeah.
backbone of that club for a few years.
That's a good point. And obviously, I think with the extension, I think he would be entitled to a fairly significant raise.
Yeah,
I think he had an excellent season for Montreal, as we
yeah,
talked about before. But also, although he didn't play, he did get to go to Qatar, and just being there, makes your value increase significantly.
exactly. I'm looking at the. If I remember correctly, his salary was about
Oh, it's low. It's
a
like
hundred
shamefully
thousand.
low. Yeah.
I think
It's
it was in and around the 100,000. So I
yeah.
think that if you look at 133,000 in guaranteed compensation
Yeah.
as per the MLSPA, and we
Which
always
is like take it
take
with a grain of
that
salt.
with a grain
Yeah.
of salt. But I wouldn't be surprised to get a contract of 350K for
Yeah.
Waterman. I think that's a very good investment for 3-4 years. So you get double your money, double your salary for Joel Waterman to convince
Mhm.
him to stay here in Montreal. Now I kind of understand him too if he wants to go and discover Europe too, because he's
Yeah.
27, and I think it's time for him to go and discover Europe.
Hmm.
If there's a time, it's now, right? You
Yeah.
don't want to do that at 29 or 30, right?
Agree.
So we'll see. We'll see. I doubt that we'll see him go to Europe though.
Hmm.
I just hope that that contract extension will come very soon.
Agree. I think that would make an excellent Christmas present. No, for
Oh
sure.
yeah, amazing, amazing.
Yeah. Fully agree. That being said, though, as we talk about contract extensions and all that good thing, we have another player who has signed a new contract with Montreal, and that was James Pantemis.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
James Pantemis signed a new contract with us, 1 year plus 2 years in option. I think that's great. I think
Yeah.
that's really, really good because you know what? For the first time in a while,
Hmm.
Olivier Renard came and said Jonathan Sirois will be the second choice goalkeeper.
Hmm.
We all know that Logan Ketterer will be the third
Yeah.
choice. So James Pantemis is number one. And now he doesn't have that uncertainty
Hmm.
that says, you know what, maybe you're not number one, maybe you are
Hmm.
number two, maybe we don't know where you're going to be.
Hmm.
He has a certainty that he's going to be number one for the season.
Hmm.
So for him and for me, it's like his spot to lose.
Yeah.
And I think this is the last test of James Van Temis in Montreal. And I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to grab it because I think he learned in the last couple of years, he learned a lot. He made a lot of
Hmm.
mistakes. And I know that he learned from them. We've
Right.
seen last year at the end of the year how good he was. And he lifted the team. It's as simple as that. Yes, he made some mistakes, but he still lifted the team and made the important saves and bounced back after every
Hmm.
bad performance. So I'm happy because I don't think we need to go and spend TAM money on a goalkeeper. I think
Hmm.
it's good to have a decent goalkeeper and a local goalkeeper, a homegrown goalkeeper is always a good thing. I don't know. I'm really happy about that signature.
So, if I may play devil's advocate, as you love to do, like you said, James Pantemis, he has made some key saves for
Yeah,
Montreal, but some of the mistakes he has made have been pretty darn costly for Montreal.
yeah,
So, as well, like you said, he has certainly gotten back up after those not so wonderful performances. But are you convinced, as he has the spot essentially guaranteed, barring a dismal preseason? Are you confident that he is Montreal's number one goalkeeper? Do you think he is going to inspire confidence in the defenders who are playing in front of him?
I think so. Yes, I think he's gonna be able to inspire confidence. First of all,
Mhm.
because he's not the new kid on the block anymore. He's a guy that's been here for a few years. Uh, Also, he's a guy that's learned a lot, that
Mhm.
fought back after. I think it was a very difficult season for him.
I agree.
The last couple of seasons were very difficult for him, and
Yeah.
I think him still fighting for that chance and claiming it back at the end of
Mhm.
last year proves how much this guy has perseverance and this guy has a good, uh, is good mentally and is a
Mhm.
warrior, right? So, and usually when you're in a locker room, when you see a guy that doesn't give up, like right away, it inspires confidence, right? So I'm not really afraid about that. And here's my camera
Yeah. Having a moment.
acting up
That's all
again.
good. We can still hear you.
Perfect, as long as you can hear me. Uh, so I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a problem for James Pantemis. Um, Now the only thing that's kind of bothering me
Mhm.
is, did he reach his full potential yet, or
Yeah.
are we going to be able to see him improve a
Mhm.
bit more?
Yeah,
And
and I think
that's
that's my concern as well.
Yeah, that's my only concern. I think he didn't reach his potential yet,
Mhm.
but it remains to be seen.
Mhm.
He's gonna have to erase those mistakes from his game if he wants to be a regular number one. If he wants to be regularly called up for the Canadian national team, be the definite number three or number two, because we know that Milan Borjan is not going to stay here for long. So is he going to be the backup of Maxime Crepeau? Is he going to be able to even challenge Maxime Crepeau for the number one spot? So I think he needs to erase a bit of these errors in his game.
Mhm.
But I think he has what it takes. I really think he has
Interesting.
what it takes. I just hope that he's going to be able to show it.
Fair enough. I think I've been pretty clear that I don't think James Pantemis, as he currently is a true number one goalkeeper. Like you said, potentially maybe there is more room for him to grow as a goalkeeper. But the James Pantemis that we've seen so far, and maybe it's because of the way he was coached, or the way or the way the goalkeeping situation in general was managed. Potentially, that could have had an influence. But that being said, like I think I've been pretty clear on my end that I don't think he has performed to the level of a number one goalkeeper for a playoff contention team. So it'll be really, like you said, it'll be really interesting to see how he starts the season as the de facto number one. I'm going to be
Yeah.
really, really curious. And we did have a question from a listener regarding James Pantemis, or
Yes.
regarding. Go ahead.
Yes, we did. We did have a question, and I
I believe it
think
was from Kevin.
that's from Kevin exactly.
So asking, is CF Montreal at risk of losing out on some of the World Cup payments for Pantemis because he was unattached while at the tournament? So my understanding, Hattie, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that technically Pantemis was under contract until the end of the year.
Yeah.
Therefore, as he was under contract until the end of the year, unless he had signed with another club, evidently, Montreal should be entitled to the payments for his presence at the tournament.
Yeah, because usually contracts are until the 31st
Yeah.
of December. So no, he was still attached to Montreal, to CF Montreal. It's also interesting that he said during his media availability that he had a lot of interest from other MLS
Hmm.
clubs.
Hmm.
I think that's very interesting to see that I'm not the only one that sees potential in him.
Hmm.
So hopefully he be able to show it to us this year.
Yeah. No, completely agree. Anything else to add on James Pantemis?
No, I'm happy that we solved that situation. So I think we're
Mhm.
okay on the goalkeeper front right now. I think we're okay now on the central defender front also with the five players that we named a bit earlier. So we need, I think, midfielders. We need wing
Desperately.
backs or full backs. We need
Striker.
do we need a striker? We have Mason Toy, we have Roman Kyoto, we have Kai Kamara.
Well, I think it depends largely. Is Mason Toy going to enter this season as the Mason Toy of 2021 or 2022 once he came back from injury?
Yeah, but he's still a striker on the squad. You don't
He
want to
is,
sign
yes.
another striker and just leave him on the side, right?
No, okay. He is physically speaking. Yes, I agree with you. He is a striker. That is the position that he plays at. Obviously to be determined.
Now, I think we need
um,
midfielders. That's for sure. We need to
oh,
replace Obi,
definitely,
and we need to
absolutely,
replace Wanyama. That's our
and Kone
main
as well.
and Kone as well. So, but
Yeah,
Kone, I think we have Zuhir that's gonna come and be, because at the
yeah,
beginning of the season, when the season started, we thought that Kone will be that fourth or fifth mid.
yeah,
I think Zuhir can fill that role. We still have quite a few midfielders under contract,
yeah.
but we're gonna need to replace Wanyama and
Right.
Mihailovic. I think that's the main two
Yeah,
targets that we have to
yeah.
fill for sure. But we'll see.
And if I'm not mistaken, most of those, I think you're thinking of like the homegrowns. Most of those players were under contract, yes, but they were non-roster as far as MLS goes. So they
Yeah,
didn't, yeah. So do need to be mindful of that piece as well,
yeah,
just as
but
far as the budget goes.
yeah, exactly. But Zuhir will be on the
Yeah,
roster.
yeah.
That's
Well, no, he
100%
already was. Yeah,
He was, and he's still gonna be. I'm not sure
yep,
if Saliba is gonna be on the roster. I'd be very surprised.
yeah.
But it all depends. I've only seen, like, maybe I've seen him at training quite a few times.
Hmm.
I saw him on the pitch maybe once,
Hmm.
like in 11 against 11. So
Right.
I can't really judge on Nathan
No.
Saliba if he's gonna be someone that's gonna get minutes with the first team
Hmm.
right away. So we'll see. We'll see.
Interesting. We will see. And just while we are on the topic, obviously, of CF Montreal, we also had a question from Sean. And I will just bring it up if you give me one quick second. There we go. Maybe. There we go. So Sean asks us, Jeremy Filosa tweeted that Bobby Smirniotis won't be the next head coach. Who do you think that leaves as the most likely candidates? Or do you think it'll be somebody that no one expects? And Hattie, I'm going to turn this one over to you.
Yeah. So I have to be careful about what I say. Bobby Smirniotis is not completely out of the picture. Okay, as it stands right now, from what I understand, he's not the number one choice anymore. That's what I understand.
Mhm.
Uh, unfortunately, I cannot give any more names, but yeah, it's someone that we're not expecting
Someone
at
like we're not
all.
familiar with?
We're not familiar with in MLS. So that's the only thing I can say. So it's gonna be very interesting. I just hope we're gonna have an announcement before Christmas, because I think it's gonna be very important
Yeah.
to put the mind of fans at ease, but also the mind of players at ease. Because when you go on holidays, you want to make sure. I think it's better for you to go on holidays when you already know who's going to be coaching you next year, and you're going to be able to come to camp with a lot more clear ideas of where you stand, not only uh, in the idea or in the ways the coach
Yeah.
wants his team to play. So I think it's going to be very important. I'd be very surprised if we don't have an announcement this week. So we'll see.
Interesting. Interesting. We will see. I personally don't have anything else to add. So, Hattie, I will leave our answer at that.
Sorry, guys. Roberto, Gail. That's all I can say for now.
Fair enough. Understood. And just to wrap up part one, obviously we had quite a scintillating 3-3 draw before penalties today
Oh, wow.
between Argentina and France.
Yeah.
Hattie, just your opinion on how that match went overall.
Oh, crazy game. For people that don't know, I was at the beginning of the tournament. I was for Brazil, of Canada, of course, but right after for Brazil, because that's been my team since the 90s.
Mhm.
And when I say the 90s, would say 1990. So it's been a
Once
while
I was born.
since you were born, exactly. Uh, but I always have, if my teams are not competing anymore, I have teams that I don't want to win. And in those teams, I have obviously one of the main rivals for me, which is Germany. So at least they were gone. And the second rival for me is France. So I was against France at the beginning of the tournament. So I was hoping that France would lose. So watching that first half, I was so thrilled to see how Argentina was dominating that half, like dominating that game. France didn't have a shot on goal, not even
I
on
know.
target, on goal.
No, like a shot of any
Exactly,
sort. Yeah.
exactly. Like
Not
and
even like a
because
blocked shot.
oh, they had a shot, but Giroud fouled the player,
Also, no, yeah, no, that doesn't
so
count.
it's not a challenge. Exactly. So I was kind of happy, and then Mbappe showed up and started being Mbappe.
Yeah.
I was really, really sad when they drew 2-2. And then I was like, yes, when Messi scored that 3-2, and I was like, okay, that's it. It's gone. It's Argentina now.
Why would you say such a thing?
Not
Have
in
I
my
taught
head.
you nothing, Hattie?
In my head.
Why would you think such a thing? Have I taught you nothing?
Not in the world. It was very private conversation between me and
Still,
myself, right?
still, pessimistic Eve has not rubbed off on you. Honest to
Exactly,
God.
exactly. And then Mbappe again came and scored back, like hat trick in the final. Like, you know what? I as much as I appreciate his skills and what a complete player he is, I just hate the guy.
Because he
I,
plays
I,
for
I
PSG.
No, not only
Oh.
that. Even before when he was a Monaco, I think he's just too arrogant. I don't
Mhm.
like arrogant players. I don't like arrogant people. So I don't know. I don't like the guy, but he's so good. He's just
Mm.
unbelievable. And then you know what? Kind of, it was a well deserved win
Mhm.
for Argentina because as soon as they entered penalties, we all know Emiliano Martinez how
Oh
good
my
he
God,
is in
that
this
was yeah,
exercise. Exactly.
yeah,
So and Lloris is known as the goalkeeper that's not good in
yeah.
that exercise. So I was like, okay, I hope that history repeats itself, and
Hmm.
the logical winner wins. And
Yeah,
I was happy that it was the case. And the penalties of Argentina, oh wow,
they were good.
so well
Yeah,
shot. So that's my opinion. Very, very, very happy.
yeah.
Three World Cups for Argentina, well deserved. I think it's one of the powerhouses of the world soccer, and
Hmm.
I think they deserve to have 3 World Cups. I think it was some sort of an anomaly for them to only have 2.
Hmm.
So I'm very happy that that's fixed. So yeah, amazing game. Sorry, I
Yeah.
talked a lot, but I had so much to say.
You had a
So
lot
go
of
ahead.
feelings. It's all good.
Yeah, I love that World
Yeah.
Cup. I'll talk
I'll,
about the whole World Cup after. So go ahead.
fair enough. I'll probably be a little more succinct because I have been up since 6 o'clock this morning. I went to a bar with my friend. The bar opened at 8, but as you know, residents of Montreal, because they come from all nationalities, residents of Montreal are passionate folk, and so I got to the bar to line up at like 7:15, and
Oh,
there was a guy there who had been there since 6.
oh
So,
wow.
so yeah, I've had a little bit of a long day, so I'm a little bit tired and thinking back on it. But honestly, it was a really pulsating match. For me, I was so thoroughly entertained. It delivered on every front that I could have asked for a final. Um, like you said, France, they were really dismal to start the match. To me, like they didn't really kick into gear until about maybe the 60th minute, at which point they were
Yep.
trailing 2-0. Which shout out to the people who reached out to me because yes, that is the most dangerous lead. I was so excited to that folks remembered that that's my thing. Um, that being said, though, like you said, when it went to penalties, as soon as I said penalties, I said, okay, that's it. Emiliano Martinez, he is going to get in the head of the various shooters, and sure enough, whether it was that much him in their heads or if they were in their own heads, whatever it was. Obviously, whatever tactics worked, and lo and behold, um, really, really entertained. Happy to see Lionel Messi, of course, probably go out for his international career with a World Cup. Really exciting. Really thrilled, really entertained. And like Bart said, really happy to have MLS representation.
Yeah, for sure. I have three other things that I want to say, if you don't mind. So
Go to him.
first of all, never, never, never underestimate Didier Deschamps, La Desch, for people that know him. Uh, he's one of the most decorated players all time. As simple as that. Players slash coaches all time. Uh, I'll for people that don't really know him as a coach, just go Google him. He's won everything as a player. He's won everything as a coach. This guy is just unbelievable. It's never beautiful soccer. It's just very efficient soccer with him,
Mm-hmm.
and we've seen it again. He was taught a lesson by Scaloni in the first half, and then he came back. It's as simple as that. He didn't even hesitate of making changes at the 40th minute, like 5 minutes before halftime. Like, who does that in a World Cup final?
Although, like, to be fair, the players who were removed, it's not good.
Nobody was good in that game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm sorry. Nobody
But
was good on France's side. So why, singularly target Olivier Giroud
Moussa Dembele.
and Usama Dembele.
Usman, sorry,
Yeah,
Usman. Yes.
Usman Dembele. Sorry, I always Usama Usman. Yeah, Usman,
Yeah.
same name, but yeah, whatever.
It is Usman. You're right.
And Gail, no, he's not looking for an MLS gig yet. Maybe when he's 95, he'd be looking for an MLS gig, but we'll see. So don't ever underestimate that coach. That's the first thing.
Okay.
Second thing that I want to say, that's, I think, the best World Cup final that I've seen ever. And I've seen all World Cup finals since 1990. And I can say it's maybe in my top 8 football games ever. Top 6 maybe. Because there are quite a few that.
Well, there's like club matches and stuff, so yeah.
Exactly. So that's unbelievable. And lastly, there was so much talk around that World Cup. So much talk and bad publicity around that World Cup. And, deservedly so, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But on the pitch, I think Qatar and the organization delivered. I think it was a great World Cup for fans that have watched the games. Not only on the pitch as the games and the level of play and the upsets and the stories that we've seen in and around the World Cup, but also the organization. We didn't see any delays in games. We didn't see any glitches in preparing the games and everything. Of course, we've seen some very bad stuff. Grant Wall's passing, which is very, very unfortunate. Yes, of course. But looking at the World Cup and how bad it was presented before the edition, I'm super happy with the end result of what I've seen as a football fan.
Right. What I would say to that, though, as well, is I don't think it's good for player welfare to have it during the season.
Yeah.
I think it is important to have the World Cup outside of the season time so that players do get that reprieve and are able to, rest, recover, recharge their batteries and stuff. That's, I think, what I would, when we're talking about the on the pitch stuff, I think that's probably what I would still take away is that I do prefer, just for the sake of player welfare, to have the World Cup outside of, the big leagues seasons.
I'm just going to be the devil's advocate because that's who I am, right? Do you think you would have seen? Do you think that the level of play that was shown during that edition was linked to the fact that players were in the middle of their season and at the peak of the physical form most of the time. Do you think there's a link between the moment where that edition was played and the level of play? Is there a link, or you don't?
I think definitely it would certainly help, but then you can also take away the fact that the national teams could have had a longer camp to prepare and could have built better
I
chemistry
agree.
with each other and develop tactics.
I
So
agree.
overall, I don't think that can be kind of credited, if you will, entirely for the level of competition that we saw.
You know what? For me, I think it's something that's livable if the calendars, the domestic calendars, are better better made in a way.
Mhm.
I think the leagues had to start a bit earlier this year and finish a bit later this year.
Yeah.
I know they tried to fix it, but you know what? Usually during the World Cups, like the normal World Cups, it's played in June and it finishes in July.
Yeah.
So why aren't we seeing the domestic leagues finish in July? You know, right now because of that.
Oh, okay.
You
Sorry.
see? So now
Yeah.
the domestic leagues are finishing at the end of May or maybe beginning of June. They
Yeah.
could have pushed that back a bit more and
Mhm.
gave, that preparation time for before the World Cup. So that
Mhm.
could have been done. So
Potentially. Sure.
there's something that could have been done. I think something better that could have been done.
Like more of a happy medium somewhere.
Exactly,
Yeah.
more of a happy medium. So
Yeah.
so I think that could be corrected in the future.
Yeah.
I like my winter World Cup. I kind of liked it because when it's summer, you want to go out, man. You just don't
Mhm.
want to be in front of your TV, right? So now at least you're gonna be able. You watch the World Cup during winter. You're
Mhm.
gonna be able to go out after during
Mhm.
summer. So I like that. But you're not gonna be
Well,
able to because you have the Women's World Cup. So
there you go.
yeah.
No, for me, it's easier to take time off work in the summer. So for me, I would prefer being in the summer. Also, though, like I said, I would like to hear a lot from the players. I know we've heard bits and pieces like here and there, anecdotally from individual players, but I would like to hear a little bit more from players about how they felt with the World Cup timing.
If someone agrees with me for once.
Hey,
Thanks,
congrats, Ty.
Robbie. Good, good, good. No,
All
no, but I
right.
think a very exciting World Cup.
Mhm.
I think I can't wait for 2026
Oh
already.
my God.
But you know
I'm
what? I
saving my
can't wait.
pennies.
Yeah, I can't wait for 2023. First of all, the
Yeah.
Women's World Cup is going to be amazing. I think so.
Yeah,
Let's
for
let's
sure.
wait and see.
Definitely. And with that being said, I'm going to switch it over to you for part two with social media.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, so let's start social media. So we have. It was very hard to find tweets, to be honest, today because
It's okay.
there's not a lot on CF Montreal because
We were a little distracted.
exactly. So it was fun. I took some tweets of World Cup and some of the
Sure.
national teams and a bit
All
of
good.
everything. So
All
I
good.
tried to cover everything. So let's start with the first one. It's from Matt Gallagher. Imagine telling your kids you
No.
scored a hat trick in the World Cup final but didn't win.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, that really sucks. So I'm sorry for Mbappe's kids. But hey, we didn't say that Mbappe won the Golden Boot.
He did. He
Yeah,
did. He
but
did.
nobody won.
No, I was close.
Yeah, you were close. I know.
No,
Just for
alas.
people, just for people that know that pod and know Eve. Eve, when she introduced the program of today, she's like, we're gonna talk about World Cup. I'm the only one that's left. Just FYI, I'm the only one that
Yeah.
might still win. And I'm like, we know, Eve. We know.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't
Like-
resist. I'm too competitive.
She's super competitive. It's really funny.
But
So Maddie, very very interesting tweet.
yeah.
I don't want to be Mbappe kid or even Mbappe right now, even if I kind of still want to be Mbappe. So interesting tweet. Next one, Michael Rice. Interesting to see how CF Montreal use all this allocation money. They have a hell of a lot right now. George Campbell already brought in from Atlanta, but for all the outgoings, they will no doubt look to promote their academy
Mhm.
players where possible. I like that tweet. I really
That
like
sounds
that.
like you play the youth.
It's not me. I'm not. My name is not Michael Rice, but but I
This is
really
what you
like that
learn.
tweet. And just for people that are asking, I think I made a small calculus. I think we should have around 4 to 4.5 millions in GAM money. So that's quite a lot.
Mhm.
So yeah, so we're gonna be able to maybe use a lot of that because I know that it's not Joey Saputo's money, so it's Garber bucks. So we're gonna be able
Yeah.
to use that. So I think
We're
we're gonna
happy
see
to
some
spend that
interesting.
money.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see some interesting moves. So maybe Paxton Pamical and Keaton Parks just for Tristan. That would
My
be
God.
nice.
That would be
That would be
wild.
nice. That would be nice. Yeah. So let's wait and see. Third tweet from Rob. Anyway, to conclude, I said out loud, I'm just sad the World Cup is over. And my son replied, the women's won in a few months. Hell yeah.
Hmm.
Although with the event being in Australia and New Zealand, I'm sure there's going to be some wacky game times.
Okay.
Are you
I
as
love
excited?
Rob's son. I love
Yeah.
Rob's son. My new favorite human. But yeah, no, I'm expecting to be setting some interesting alarms for that World Cup. Oh gosh.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that they're going to accommodate like a bit like Qatar. I think,
Yeah.
I think the games were yes, you had some games at 5 a.m., but most of the games
Yeah.
were at 8, 11, and 2. So I
Hmm.
think that was okay for us. Of course, we had work, but thank God we have work from home now. So so that helped a lot.
Hmm.
And of course, we're always able to watch replays whenever there's a good game.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we're going to be able to watch all those games for the 2023 World Cup. Can't wait,
Yeah.
Canada. There's so much stuff that we're going to be able to see storylines. Great
Hype
players that we're going to be
trains.
able. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so for people that are asking and are wondering when it's going to be, it's between the 20th of July and the 20th of August in Australia and New Zealand with 32 teams competing to for glory to win the World Cup. So very exciting. So let's move on to our fourth tweet, and it's from Bart,
All
our
right,
friend,
Bert.
and he was very happy Atlanta United has a World Cup champion
He
on
was
our
he was
roster.
preparing us for Atlanta fans of the year to come. I think, like he said earlier, they're pumped.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
and like he said, they're going to be very unsufferable. And
but Bart's lovely, and we love Bart.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's
To be
just
clear, yeah.
and lastly, from Anthony Tatera, one of our guests at one time here on that show. Can't wait for us to enjoy some memorable moments in 4 years' time. Toronto, Vancouver, and
Salty.
that's it. So yeah,
No comment.
anything to add, Eve, regarding that last tweet?
Nothing that I can repeat in front of my mother.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And again, my
but
camera having
yeah,
fun.
that's all good. It's all good. Took my epilepsy meds this morning. Um, no, that being said, I will go basically wherever I can, whether that's Toronto, whether that's Boston, whether that's Vancouver, whatever is the most feasible, wherever I can get tickets. I will be there in 4 years' time.
Yeah,
Period.
same here. Same
Yep.
here.
And some other city's going to get my tourism dollars because Francois Legault was not interested in them.
I completely agree. I have exactly the same thing. So I'm already preparing my wife, my son, and everybody for a big road trip in 2026. Hopefully, I'll be able to take sabbatical from work wherever I'll work then.
Sabbatical. Good for you.
Yeah, I hope I'm gonna. Yeah, that's the. I think that's the plan for me to take a sabbatical for maybe a year, a month or two, and just go and just travel and cover as many games as possible, watch as many games as possible. Can't wait, can't wait.
Hmm.
It's gonna be epic.
Love it. No,
Yeah, so
super.
that's it for me for social media. Eve.
Excellent. So then that's going to wrap us up. So just a little bit of housekeeping really quickly. Obviously, with the festive season approaching, we do have some holiday weekends coming up. So just to let everybody know, we will be taking a brief break for the next 2 Sundays. And we will be returning to our regularly scheduled programming on Sunday, January 8th, to hopefully get ready for an exciting preseason with all of you. That being said, if there is an event that necessitates a emergency episode, we will certainly do one. Um, as well, just a friendly reminder that our content will always remain free for our listeners. However, we do have a Patreon if you wish to support the podcast. And we are very, very grateful to everyone who supports us, whether it's through our Patreon, whether it's through listening and commenting and participating every week. We are grateful for each and every one of our listeners. And take care. Have a wonderful holiday season.
Yeah, I
And
just if before you wrap it up, I'm sorry. I just want to say to everybody, uh, I'll be very surprised if we don't have an emergency episode this week. So let's stay connected, follow our Twitter feed, and you'll have, if there are some announcements, there will be an emergency episode. And before you wrap it up, Eve, sorry I cut you off. Yeah, happy holidays to everyone. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, happy whatever for everyone else. And yeah, see you next year if we don't see you before. So Eve, thanks a lot for your time, and sorry to cut you off again.
no worries. I think Hattie wrapped it up pretty well. Have a wonderful holiday season to all of our listeners. Take care, stay safe, and we will see you in the new year, if not sooner. Fingers crossed.
See ya.